When Alaric turned 16, he stood before his mother and his knight. With his hand on the blade of Athemus's ancient sword, he swore an oath. By blood and steel I will reclaim Darelon. I will unite the broken houses. And if I must fight as my father and uncle fought, then I shall fight not for wealth, but for justice. That night Cador whispered to Lady Elenia, "The boy carries Darien's cunning, but Caelen's fire burns in his veins. He may become greater than both, or fall as they did." News spread across the land like wildfire. Whispers told of a boy-king rising in the mountains, bearing the sword of Athemus. Farmers lit secret fires in the fields as a sign of hope. Bandits spoke of hunting him, but even they hesitated, fearing the wrath of a new heir. Meanwhile, the lords who carved Darelon into fragments grew restless. Lady Serenia of the south sent spies to confirm if the boy was real. Lord Vanar in the north, fearing his stolen throne would crumble, declared, "If the bastard lives, I will have his head on a pike." The mercenary sons of the Silver Dagger offered a bounty for the boy, greater than any king's ransom. But Alaric did not hide. With Cador and a handful of loyal men, he descended from the mountains into the valley of Evermere, the very field where his father and uncle had slain each other. There, before farmers, ex-soldiers, and wandering folk, he raised his sword and cried, "The blood of Athemus flows in me. I am Alaric, son of Darien. If you seek a king who will bleed for you, then stand at my side." A roar answered him, as hundreds knelt in the grass. For the first time since the brothers' war, hope shone again in Darelon. But hope is a dangerous thing. Word of Alaric's rise reached every corner of the land, and already armies began to stir. Some would rally to him, but many more would seek to crush him before his name could unite the people. And so the boy-king's journey began, not only to claim a throne, but to survive the storm of blades that was coming for him. Alaric's proclamation in the valley of Evermere spread like fire in dry grass. Farmers left their plows to take up spears. Exiled knights returned from hiding, swearing allegiance. By the month's end, what began as a band of wanderers had swelled into an army of 300. But armies, however small or large, do not go unnoticed. In the north, Lord Vanar the Iron Hand watched with growing fury. Once Caelen's general, he had seized castles and villages after the brothers' deaths, declaring himself guardian of Athemus's legacy. His rule was cruel, his taxes harsh, his punishments merciless, but his soldiers feared him enough to obey. When he heard that Darien's son carried Athemus's sword and rallied the peasants, he thundered, "This boy is no heir, he is a bastard pretender. I crushed armies greater than his when Caelen still lived. I will march south, and I will tear the head from his shoulders." Lord Vanar gathered 500 seasoned men, clad in mail and armed with steel. They marched with iron discipline, their banners black and red. Villagers fled before them, warning Alaric's camp of the storm that approached. Cador urged caution. "You are not ready, my prince. Your men are untrained, your ranks thin. We should retreat into the mountains and wait for strength to grow." But Alaric's eyes burned. "If we run, the people will lose faith. They will call me a coward, and Vanar will crush all who believed in me. We fight, not for victory alone, but to show the realm that Athemus's blood still stands." The armies met near the village of Stonebrook, where a narrow river cut across the plain. Alaric's men trembled as the Iron Hand's veterans marched in perfect formation. Cador devised a desperate plan: hold the bridge, force them into the choke point. If they break through, we are lost. The clash came at dawn. Vanar's heavy infantry stormed the bridge, their shields locked, their spears thrusting. Alaric's farmers turned soldiers held with terror in their eyes, many falling beneath the first assault. The river ran red with blood. But Alaric did not stay behind. With his grandfather's sword in hand, he stood at the front, rallying his men with fire in his voice. "For Darelon! For Athemus! Hold, brothers, hold!" Seeing their young leader bleed and fight beside them lit a fire in the peasants' hearts. They fought like lions, hurling stones, spears, and even farming tools to push the enemy back. Kader led a flanking charge with the few mounted knights they had, crashing into Vaynar's rear. Chaos rippled through the Iron Hand's lines. In the melee, Alaric and Lord Vaynar found each other on the blood-soaked bridge. Vaynar towered over him, his armor black, his mace gleaming. "You think yourself a king, boy? You are nothing but a shadow of your father," he roared, swinging his mace with crushing force. Alaric barely blocked, the weight nearly driving him to his knees. But Kader's teachings rang in his ears. Do not match strength with strength, match fury with speed. He darted aside, striking quick, precise blows. Vaynar's armor turned most aside, but Alaric's courage rattled the old warlord. Finally, with a desperate thrust, Alaric drove his blade into the gap beneath Vaynar's arm. The Iron Hand bellowed in pain, staggering back. His soldiers, seeing their lord wounded, broke. The field was theirs. Aftermath. Though victorious, Alaric's joy was dimmed. Half his men lay dead upon the bridge. He had won his first battle, but at a terrible cost. Kader placed a hand on his shoulder. "This is the price of crowns. Today you proved you are more than a boy. But remember, greater storms await." Messengers fled across the land, carrying word. The lost heir had defeated the Iron Hand. To some, it was a beacon of hope. To others, a threat too dangerous to ignore. Far to the south, Lady Serenia of the Black Hills read the reports with a smile. "The cub has claws," she whispered. "Perhaps he may be of use, or perhaps he must be tamed." And in the shadows, the mercenary sons of the Silver Dagger doubled their bounty. The war for Darylon had only just begun. The victory at Stonebrook made Alaric's name thunder across the realm. Ballads spread from taverns to villages, singing of the boy who carried Athemus's sword and struck down the Iron Hand. Farmers whispered that perhaps the days of despair were ending. But victory is a dangerous gift. For every man who came to his banner in hope, another plotted his ruin in secret. Weeks after the battle, as Alaric licked his wounds and rebuilt his meager force, a messenger arrived under a flag of truce. He bore the seal of Lady Serenia of the Black Hills, the southern noblewoman whose cunning was said to rival Darien's own. Her words were wrapped in velvet. To Alaric, son of Darien, rightful heir of Darylon, "Come to me in peace. Let us speak not of war but of unity. Alone, you may win battles. With me, you may win the kingdom." Kader scowled at the letter. "The Lady Serenia is no ally, my prince. She is a spider, and her halls are a web. Enter, and you may never leave." But Alaric answered calmly, "If I am to rule, I must learn to walk among serpents. Let her test me." Serenia's stronghold rose like a dark jewel in the southern cliffs, its halls lined with banners of silver serpents. She greeted Alaric not with hostility, but with warmth. She was older than he, yet striking, her eyes sharp as daggers and her voice smooth as honey. "You look so much like Darien," she said, circling him like a hawk. "But where he sought only wealth, you carry something more dangerous, vision. That is why I sent for you." At her table, she spoke of alliance. "The North fears you now. The mercenaries plot against you. But with my soldiers, my gold, and my lands at your side, you could take the throne within a year. All I ask is simple. When you wear the crown, you will make me your queen." Her words were sweet, but her eyes gleamed with ambition. That night, a banquet was held in Alaric's honor. Kader warned him to eat nothing, drink nothing, but Alaric, ever bold, raised his goblet when Serenia lifted hers. Moments later, a servant collapsed, froth at his lips. The wine had been poisoned. Gasps filled the hall, but Alaric rose calmly, setting his goblet down untouched. His voice rang like steel. "If this is your hospitality, Lady Serenia, then I have learned my lesson well. You would see me as pawn or corpse. But I am neither. I am heir of Athemus. I will not be bound by your webs." The hall fell silent. Serenia's lips curved into a sly smile, not of anger, but of respect. You are your father's son indeed. Very well, little wolf, run free. But know this, in Darelon, no crown is taken without a queen's hand guiding it.